Let's look at this video. This is at the hotel, and you can see the shooters are getting in position for their planned out murder, and they are shooting at Charles now. And you can see that he's the passenger in that car that's moving and trying to flee. And again, they're still shooting at him. He's the right front passenger in that vehicle.
We have evidence of the defendant's co-defendants very clearly meeting at Sean Gapright's house on his video camera, where they are loading up big bags that are definitely big enough to hold these assault rifles that were used in this case.
Jones was in town celebrating his birthday and posted on his social media his locations several times throughout that night. Surveillance video was critical in this investigation, as suspects were seen on video following Jones from location to location.
Welcome back to your daily dose of scandal and glamour. Let's spill the tea on today's hottest drama. Yeah, it's true. They said dude was talking real wild, like he was suicidal and even asked to bring a Bible with him. You heard that right? Foolio's killers are spiraling, and the madness went down in the courtroom, live and loud. One of them couldn't even handle it, straight up hit the floor after hearing the sentence like his soul left the building. And the rest? They were shaking, barely keeping it together. But here's the thing. Was it really just that life sentence that shattered them? Or is something way darker going on behind the scenes? Word on the street is they're not just panicking over the time. They're terrified of what's waiting for them on the inside. Rumor is, Julio's people are already in the pen, and they're not exactly throwing forgiveness parties. Revenge is brewing, and they know it. Let's run it back. This wasn't just a sentencing, it was pure meltdown mode. These guys walked in chest out, fake tough energy, but they crumbled when that gavel came down. Life without parole, no second chances. And when the judge said it,
this barrage of gunfire also struck 3 additional victims who miraculously survived this incident. It's clear from that video what they were set out to do and what they had planned to do.
One of them didn't even stand up. He collapsed, body limp, face pale, like reality just smacked him all at once. His mother screamed so loud the walls shook. Another dude just froze, eyes glazed over, like he saw the rest of his life disappear right in front of him. And here's the wildest twist. The alleged shooter tried to fire his own lawyer on the spot. In the middle of a case where he's facing the death penalty, this man said, "I'll do it myself." Like, what? That's not confidence. That's panic dressed in delusion. He's either lost his grip completely or knows something terrifying is about to hit. Either way, it's clear. These guys are falling apart, and the fear is real. This man really thought he could stand up in court and defend himself in a death penalty case? That's not bravery. That's full-blown desperation. But before we dive into how everything spiraled in court, you need to understand what really happened. Because this wasn't just any street beef. This hit rocked the entire legal system in Florida. Julio Foolio.
I think this guy's nuts. I think that's why. I mean, he wants to defend himself, which is insane in a death penalty case. And then he actually has said that he may use an insanity defense, which also is insane in itself when the facts show otherwise, that these guys had meticulous planning and attempts to cover up the crime. And when you have that, good luck in getting an insanity defense, because to sustain an insanity defense, you have to have an established medical condition, and you have to not know the difference between right and wrong. But when you meticulously plan and then try to cover up your tracks, that shows you knew the difference between right and wrong. It shows you knew what you did was illegal. And when you want to just try to put forward an insanity defense as your own lawyer, it doubles the level of difficulty.
Real name Charles Jones wasn't just some local rapper. He was one of the most talked about voices in Jacksonville, always surrounded by drama and controversy. But at the end of the day, he was still a son, a brother, a human being. On June 22nd, he was down in Tampa, just trying to celebrate his birthday. Less than 24 hours later, he was gone, shot down in a violent ambush right outside a hotel, in a scene that looked straight out of a movie. Police said more than 30 bullets ripped through his vehicle. 30! This wasn't random. This was a straight-up hit job. Surveillance cameras caught it all. 3 masked men creeping through the parking lot like they'd practiced this before. AR-style rifles in hand, eyes locked on their target, no hesitation. Julio was sitting in the front passenger seat when they opened fire. He didn't even have time to react. It was an execution. Plain and simple. Check this out. Here's the footage. You can see the shooters sliding into position near the hotel. They're moving with purpose, No second thoughts. Then boom. They unload on that car as it tries to flee. Julio's in the right front seat, completely exposed. And they don't stop. They chase the car down with bullets flying like they were in a war zone. Now here's where it gets even more twisted.
This is something in Jacksonville that is very well known. These videos, both by our victim as well as by the rival gangs, are posted immediately. It's in the public domain, and it details this long-standing feud.
One of the suspects, he was allegedly close with Julio's ex. And then there's Alicia Andrews, a young woman who was reportedly pregnant during all this. She's accused of following Julio from club to club that night, texting live updates to the shooters like she was running point in some kind of military operation. This wasn't just a hit, it was a setup, planned and tracked from the start. These weren't seasoned criminals with long rap sheets. These were young folks barely out of school. Some were just hitting 18, the oldest around 30. Now this crew, 4 guys and 1 girl, is tied to one of the biggest rap-related murders we've seen in a minute. And get this, the girl, she's currently pregnant. That detail alone takes this whole case to another level of madness. When police rolled up to arrest one of them, dude had a gun to his head. It was that serious. They were panicking. It's like the second they got caught, the tough act vanished. One of the main suspects, Rashad Murphy, went completely off script. Out of nowhere, he dropped his lawyer and said he was going to represent himself in a murder trial where he could literally face the death penalty. His lawyer tried to talk him down. The judge warned him hard, but Rashad stood firm. He even filed a motion demanding a speedy trial and started scribbling handwritten letters straight to the judge. In those letters, he claimed he was being treated like he was already guilty, said he couldn't call nobody, couldn't send letters, couldn't even prep his case. He begged the court to give him access to legal files. Now, some people are saying he's faking it, just playing games to stall things out. But others think he's actually cracking under the pressure. And to be real, it's no surprise when you look at the mountain of evidence against them. Prosecutors came in heavy. Security cam footage showing them stuffing rifles into duffel bags, Jeep's data tracking Julio's every step that night, and even worse, text messages where they were laying out the whole ambush like a blueprint. They planned every move, left a digital trail, and now it's like, what defense could even work here? At this point, it's basically which prison you want to end up in. There's no dodging this one. Not with everything they left behind. Even the bullet casings told the story, dead serious. The same shells from the crime scene matched the guns police found inside their homes. They even found one of the actual murder weapons. And one of these kids, he had bullets in his room that matched the scene. Exactly. It was like he kept souvenirs from the hit, like trophies, sitting right there in his house. That's not just reckless, it's straight up unhinged. When all of this was laid out in court, it was too much to handle. One of the suspects, sitting just a few feet away from Julio's heartbroken mother, passed out cold. No media cameras were allowed inside, but people who were there said he just slumped out of his chair. His body started trembling, and he kept whispering, "I can't breathe," over and over. Was it guilt eating him alive? Was it fear? Or did reality finally hit? He's never going home again? Nobody really knows what snapped inside him at that moment. But one thing's for sure, those courtroom walls are closing in fast, and there's no way out. Let's pause for a second and be real about what this all means. This isn't just another case of street drama gone wrong. This is what happens when murder becomes content, when killing turns into a trend, and disrespecting the dead equals views and streams. Julio mocked others in his music, and yeah, it came right back to him. That same cycle he rapped about, it swallowed him whole. Now the toll? 6 lives destroyed in different ways. 1 young man buried, 5 others locked down, probably for life. And the most tragic twist? One of those 5 is pregnant. That baby may grow up never knowing what freedom feels like, only seeing their mother through thick prison glass. No lullabies, no playgrounds, just visits in a cold visitation room. This ain't a story about fame, it's a story about consequences. The digital trail? Way worse than anyone expected. One of the suspects might have exposed the whole crew, just to flex online. That's right, clout chasing on social media might be the reason every single one of them ends up locked up for life, all for some likes and fake respect. So how did it all even go down? Prosecutors say this was not some heat-of-the-moment thing. This was a fully planned ambush straight out of a crime thriller. We're talking coordinated moves, multiple cars, highway travel, and high-powered rifles. And it didn't even start in Tampa. It started back at home. Surveillance cameras caught Rashad Murphy, Diane Murphy, and Sean Gathright calmly packing up duffel bags in a quiet neighborhood like they were prepping for a road trip. But those bags? They weren't holding clothes. Later on, investigators confirmed those same bags were carrying 2 assault-style rifles, the ones used in the shooting. And here's the wildest part. They caught themselves on their own security camera. That's how reckless they were. The prosecution literally has footage showing them loading those giant bags at SeanGathright's house, casually walking around with murder weapons on camera like it was nothing. The footage clearly shows the crew meeting up, loading gear, and prepping for what came next. But what really hits different is how Julio's final hours played out online. He was just trying to enjoy his birthday and posted it all on Instagram. Club clips, party vibes, celebration stories. But behind those smiles, something dark was brewing. 2 people, Alicia Andrews and Isaiah Chance, were allegedly pretending to be friends while tracking his every move. From the club to the after party, then straight to the hotel. They were following along, sending updates while Julio unknowingly live-streamed his own setup. That's the part that chills everyone. The betrayal wasn't just from strangers. It came from the people right next to him smiling for the camera. The shooters didn't just pull up and start blasting. They waited. They parked across the street, watching Julio for hours like it was a mission. He was in town celebrating his birthday, posting his location on social media all night long. And that's how they tracked him, step by step. Surveillance cameras became the key piece in this whole case. The footage clearly showed the suspects tailing Julio from one spot to another like shadows. Then at 4:38 a.m., everything snapped into motion. 3 of them got out the car and headed toward Julio's hotel room. 2 were strapped with rifles. 1 had a handgun. And seconds later, they opened fire. Julio's SUV got sprayed with 31 bullets. 3 other people inside were hit too, but somehow by pure luck they survived the attack. Authorities confirmed that the gunfire struck 3 additional victims who miraculously made it out alive. But there was no doubt from the footage, this wasn't panic, it was premeditated. They came to kill, and they weren't trying to miss. But this story ain't just about the shooting, it's about what came before it. Julio didn't just diss his rivals in music, he mocked them. He even dropped a music video showing someone urinating on his grave. That wasn't a diss track, that was a direct threat. That was declaring war. So what did they do? They packed up, jumped in their cars, and headed to Tampa. Not with lyrics, but with loaded rifles, burner phones, and a plan to escape. But here's the crazy part. They fumbled the whole thing. They were so sloppy, they made the case easy for detectives. Alicia's phone pinged at every location Julio visited that night, from Jacksonville to Tampa. License plate readers caught their vehicles near the ambush scene, and the hotel's surveillance cameras, they got it all, before and after the shooting. Forensics tied it all together. It's like they left a trail of clues, step by step, gift-wrapped for the police, cold, calculated, but messy in the end. Bullet casings from the scene, they matched rifles found right inside Rashad Murphy's house. But if that wasn't wild enough, get this. One of the suspects actually kept shell casings and bullet fragments like souvenirs, like it was some kind of sick trophy collection. That's not just reckless, it's straight up disturbing. And it gets darker. Some of the suspects were texting each other after the shooting like they just won a game or something. One of them even wrote, "I'm coming home. My thirst is finally quenched." That's not just disrespectful, that's chilling. No remorse, no fear, just bragging about bloodshed like it was a badge of honor. They were caught on license plate cameras too. And how bold was this? One of them was driving his mama's car. When the cops asked her, she said clear as day, "That wasn't me. My son had it." That's how sloppy this whole operation was. Rashad Murphy really thought he was the smartest one in the room. He left his own phone at home like that was gonna protect him, but then turned around and used other people's phones. He played himself. And then, he went totally off the rails and told the court he wanted to be his own lawyer in a murder trial. Even his own defense attorney called it reckless. But Rashad didn't care. He claimed jail conditions were holding him back from preparing properly. But it didn't stop there. By November, he switched things up again and pulled the insanity card, saying he wanted to plead not guilty by reason of mental illness. But here's the catch. If you planned every detail, stalked your target, and cleaned up your tracks, that ain't insanity, that's strategy. And legal insiders are saying something serious. If Rashad keeps playing lawyer, he might throw the whole crew under the bus in open court. No loyalty, no protection. When it comes down to it, This case could turn into a courtroom war, every man for himself. People in the legal world are buzzing, and they think she's flipping. Word is, Alicia Andrews might be cooperating with the prosecution. The biggest clue? She didn't waive her right to a speedy trial, while the other 3 suspects did. That move sent alarm bells ringing. Even one of my sources, Con RL, pointed it out. Alicia, the one who's currently pregnant, asked for a fast trial while the others backed off. That's not normal, and it's got everyone thinking she's cutting a deal. From the moment prosecutors laid out their evidence, one thing became obvious. Somebody had already cracked, and courtroom whispers all pointed to the same name, Alicia Andrews. Just 21 years old and expecting a baby, yet she was facing the exact same first-degree murder charges as the men accused of pulling the trigger. But Alicia made a bold move that the others didn't. She stood up and demanded a speedy trial. Now, if you know how this game works, that's usually not just a legal strategy. That's a signal, a message to everyone watching that she might be cooperating, that she might be ready to talk. And it wasn't just a rumor. She confirmed it herself. Right after getting arrested, Alicia sat down and gave police a full statement. No hesitation. She admitted she was there that night. She confirmed how the crew moved across Tampa, how they followed Foolio from location to location. She didn't name the actual shooter, but she dropped enough info to paint a crystal-clear timeline. And for prosecutors, that was all they needed. That's why legal insiders believe Alicia's already helped stitch the entire case together. Whether it's fear, self-preservation, or wanting to be there for her baby, she's making moves to save herself. And if she testifies in court, the whole crew could go down hard, because now, the inside story's coming from one of their own. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to stay in the loop with all the latest. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update, and I'll catch you in the next video.